Hi guys, welcome to Beklædt's YouTube channel. If you are new to this channel, then please subscribe so you never miss out on new video guides, tips and tricks and much more. My name is Iben, and in today's video I'll show you how I sew my cami top ranunkel. The sewing pattern for ranunkel is very versatile. With this sewing pattern you can choose between blouse length and two different dress lengths. And then you can finish the top with puff sleeves and elastic bands around the waist, or you can make it sleeveless or as a cami top, which is the version I'll show you how to make in this video. You can buy the sewing pattern on my website, beklædt.com. For the ranunkel pattern, I recommend using thin to medium weight woven fabric with drape. For the cami top, I'll be using a silk crepe that I found at a charity shop for less than €1. The fabric is very airy and has a nice structured surface. I use the same fabric for the lining, but you can also use normal lining in thin viscose or similar. We also need interfacing tape to stabilize the neckline and armhole. I've cut my own strips of interfacing that are about 2 cm wide from lightweight fusible interfacing. It's quite important to cut the tape on the bias to maintain the natural elasticity of the neckline. Finally, we need matching thread. If you're working with some very fine fabric, I recommend using sharp microtex needles. Start by cutting out the pattern pieces according to the cutting guide. It's a good idea to mark which pieces are the front pieces and which pieces are the back pieces respectively, as the pattern pieces look very much alike. It's also a really good idea to mark the center front and center back seams and side seams respectively, so you don't end up sewing the wrong pieces together. I use pins to mark with. First step is to iron on the interfacing tape to the neckline and armholes on the front and back pieces in outer fabric, but not the lining. The interfacing tape should be ironed onto the wrong side of the fabric. Afterwards, overlock or zigzag along all the center front and center back seams and side seams on all the pieces. If you are making size EU 50 to 60, there is an extra bust dart along the side seam that you need to close. If you are in doubt about how to sew a dart, I can recommend you to watch my other video on how to sew the blouse birk. Find the two front pieces in outer fabric. Place them on top of each other, right sides together, and pin the pieces together by the center front seam. Find the two back pieces in outer fabric. Place them on top of each other, right sides together, and pin the pieces together by the center back seam. Do the same for the lining pieces. Stitch all the center seams. And finish by pressing the seams open with your iron. Find the back piece in outer fabric and place it flat on the table so the right side is facing up. Place the front piece in outer fabric on top, right sides together, and place pins along the side seams. Do the same for the lining pieces. Stitch the side seams and press them open with your iron. Cut 4 long pieces of fabric from some scrap fabric. The pieces need to be about 2 cm wide and 40 to 50 cm long. The pieces should be cut on the bias. Fold the piece in half, right sides together, and make a stitch down the center of the piece. Then close off one of the ends. With a loop turner, a thin knitting needle or similar, turn the strap around so the right side is facing out. Place the top in outer fabric inside the lining, right sides together, and place pins to correctly match the center front and back seams and side seams with each other. Find the straps and place them between the 2 layers of fabric, so one end of the strap is aligned with the peak on the neckline and the other end of the strap is hidden under the fabric. Place pins. Stitch the layers together by the neckline and armhole. This seam will also set the straps in place. When I reach a peak on the neckline, I place the needle down into the fabric, pivot the piece, stitch over the strap a couple of times before pivoting again to continue the stitch down the other side. Make sure to check if you are happy with the seam and that the straps have been attached correctly. Then bring the top to the ironing board. Trim the seam allowance around the 4 peaks on the top so it is a few millimeters wide. Snip into the seam allowance by the center front and back seams and side seams without, of course, cutting through the seam. Turn the pieces around so the right side is facing out. Press the neckline and armhole with your iron. Start on the lining side before pressing from the right side. Finish the neckline by top stitching around the neckline and armholes, which will keep the neckline looking neat. Set the stitch length to 3 and stitch a couple of millimeters from the edge all the way around. The last thing we need to do is to hem the top. I start by trimming the lining down by 2 centimeters, which will make it 2 centimeters shorter than the outer fabric. Press the hemline on both the lining and outer fabric 1 centimeter towards the wrong side all the way around. Then press the hemline another 1 centimeter towards the wrong side. If you are making a dress instead, then please remember that both dress lengths have a hemline of 4 centimeters included. That means you need to press the hemline 2 times 2 centimeters towards the wrong side. Stitch the hem in place from the right side about 1 centimeter from the edge. And then remember to tie knots to the straps so they don't start unraveling. And that was it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.